10. Working from home. Before COVID-19, just 7% of American specialists had the choice to work from home. That doesn't imply that 7% were telecommuting, it just implies that 93% of Americans were informed that it could never be an option. Today, telecommuting is a need. There are no hard measurements on what number of individuals are working remotely around the globe, yet the organization Cisco has said that, in China, their video conferencing programming has been considering 22 to be as a lot of traffic as it did before the outbreak. The world is occupied with a worldwide work from home trial, and we're going to see direct exactly how economical it is. There are as of now concentrates on this, and the outcomes are exceptionally positive. One found that individuals telecommuting have 16.8 more days worth of efficiency a year. Those considers have consistently been out there. However, on the off chance that businesses see the outcomes direct for themselves, there will be no denying that letting individuals keep telecommuting after the pandemic is over won't send them out of business, and that could be staggering for our life fulfillment. The normal drive to work has expanded by 20 minutes over the previous decade, and specialists state that those 20 minutes influence work fulfillment as much as a 19% cut in pay. 9. Universal basic income. A couple of months back, all-inclusive fundamental salary appeared to be an unrealistic fantasy. Sending each individual in a nation a month-to-month check, regardless of whether they don't go to work, was beginning to manifest on the odd battlefield. However, in many nations, it didn't seem like anything we'd perceive whenever soon, but for the following hardly any months, it will be a reality. The United Kingdom has focused on paying 80% of its laborers' compensations, while Denmark has offered to pay upward to 90%. Also, even the United States is anticipating sending a $1,200 check to pretty much every grown-up American. None of these plans are actually equivalent to general fundamental pay, yet they're close. They're going to successfully be dry trials on how these arrangements truly influence society. It's too soon to state what the outcome will be. Finland attempted all-inclusive essential salary in 2017 and 2018 and presumed that it left individuals upbeat however jobless, which may be what we find in the remainder of the world, too. Be that as it may, somehow, these discussions will be significantly less hypothetical when the pandemic is finished. 8. Automation. One of the areas COVID-19 has hit the hardest is producing. Anybody working in a production line is a staggeringly predicament. Working remotely isn't an alternative when you work with your hands, yet for certain manufacturing plants, nor is staying home, but for supposed lights-out production lines that are worked completely by robots, a malady isn't even a problem. Companies that utilization more mechanization are as of now showing improvement over those that depend on packing human specialists into a firmly pressed processing plant, and organizations are beginning to take note. Kaha Robotics, for instance, has said that they've seen a 25% expansion in requests in the previous 30 days alone. We can anticipate that a great deal of assembling organizations should go to robotization to endure, and a ton of different organizations, too. China has just begun supplanting conveyance drivers with automatons, and they're revealing that they're quicker and more secure than human workers. They've even tried different things with mechanical emergency clinics, where machines take your temperature, convey your dinners, and purify your space to shield people from coming into contact with somebody conveying a disease. By the time this pandemic is finished, your activity could very well have been filled by a robot. 7. Online learning. Schools are closing down in about each nation that has seen a flare-up of COVID-19, and that is driving guardians into instructors into an entirely different time of education. For the following not many months, web-based learning will be the standard. Regardless of how well informed your educator is, they will need to figure out how to make instruction digital. Based on early responses, it's far-fetched that we'll see boundless selection of online training when this is finished. Criticism from educators, up until this point, has been generally negative. The serious issue is that internet learning mixes weaknesses. Kids whose guardians don't have the opportunity to push them on their instruction fall further behind, while the individuals who can't manage the cost of web get are totally excluded. Still, each educator on the planet is getting an intense training in 21st century learning. They're ensured to return with thoughts that will change how our children learn, at least, for the children that return. A great deal of guardians are going to self-teaching, and since self-taught kids regularly score higher on state-sanctioned tests than kids in government-funded schools, there's a decent possibility that a ton of those guardians will choose to stay with it. 6. The rise of big government. There are no libertarians in a pandemic, Meghan McCain as of late said. Regardless of whether that is something to be thankful for or not is up to discuss, yet fortunate or unfortunate, there's a great deal of motivation to accept that it's valid. Around the globe, individuals have been grasping enormous government since the time COVID-19 started to spread. Socialist strategies are being executed all around the globe, even in nations drove by traditionalist and libertarian pioneers. The US government is anticipating burning through $1 trillion. Battling COVID-19, while the United Kingdom's Boris Johnson has said that there's no roof to the amount they'll spend. Large governments creation a rebound, and in certain spots, it's in entirely outrageous ways. The Israeli government has begun utilizing its KIN's PDA area information to distinguish everybody who has interacted with a tainted patient. In the event that you've been close to them, you'll get a book instructing you to isolate yourself right away. McCain's being hyperbolic, obviously. There are still libertarians, however their voices are being quieted. Furthermore, regardless of whether hands-off government returns design when this is finished, there will undoubtedly be a couple of bills passed that, before COVID-19, never would have endured. 5. Voting by mail. On April 15, with a pandemic desolating their nation, the individuals of South Korea will need to arrange outside of stalls and cast their votes in the 2020 political decision. It will be an enormous issue, and the nation hasn't generally had the opportunity to respond. Up until this point, their answer is dreadful. They will expect voters to wear veils and expendable gloves, and they're going to check everybody's temperatures previously permitting them to enter. It will be a catastrophe. We can rely on the voter turnout being wretched, and it will be a reminder for the remainder of the world. It's particularly going to influence the United States, where primaries are now in progress and a government political decision is planned for November. Americans will need to change their democratic standards this year, and we can anticipate that those progressions should be lasting. 2 out of 3 Americans as of now state they're stressed over democratic face-to-face, and some are as of now battling for change. Texas Democrats have documented a claim for the option to cast a ballot via mail, while different states are urging individuals to solely mail in their polling forms. Which could be incredible for majority-rule government. At the point when Utah presented casting a ballot via mail, they saw a 7% expansion in voter turnout. 4. The death of small businesses. A great deal of organizations are being hit hard at the present time, however no one as hard as bars and restaurants. France, Spain, Italy, Germany and the United Kingdom are only a couple of nations that have closed down all bars and cafes, and, in nations that haven't ordered it, not many individuals are deciding to go out for drinks. For the following barely any months, these organizations and their representatives will be deprived of any income stream that doesn't originate from the administration. A great deal of them won't be ready to endure it. J.P. Morgan predicts that the normal independent company may have the option to endure 27 days of this before failing. That is going to change the essence of our reality, in light of the fact that, while a great deal of neighborhood bars won't endure, the huge organizations are going to persevere. When individuals get a hunger to go feasting once more, and when servers begin searching for work once more, the huge chains will at present be there. McDonald's will face the hardship, and that will reshape our world. Currently, about half of Americans work for private companies. However, when this is finished, that rate will most likely be a great deal lower. 3. The end of reliance on China. COVID-19 couldn't come at a more terrible energy for China. They were in a fierce exchange war, and COVID-19 has made things a great deal worse. Up as of not long ago, the world has depended on China as its assembling center point. They produce 20% of the world's products, more than some other nation on Earth, and they have a considerably greater job in medicinal services. 90% of America's antitoxins originate from China. In any case, as China has gone under isolate and has battled to keep up its pace, it's become progressively clear exactly that it is so hazardous to depend on a solitary area to supply the world. The world is battling with a deficiency of ventilators and face veils, and it's simply not plausible to depend on China to deal with it all alone, particularly when they've been probably the hardest nation hit. Several nations are as of now beginning to bring producing once more into their own fringes, while others are looking at spreading out their assembling to a few better places. At this moment, we truly must choose between limited options. We will need to begin depending on different nations for assembling, and that is going to hurt China long after the pandemic is finished. 2. Free and universal health care. After the Spanish flu of 1918, nations around the globe, creator Laura Spinney says, grasped the idea of associated medication. It was one of the enduring effects of the last incredible worldwide pandemic. Individuals began to understand that the well-being of the poor influenced everybody, and the principal conversations that would prompt all-inclusive medicinal services began. There are just a bunch of nations that don't have all-inclusive social insurance today, and one created country. However, this could be the minute that drives the remainder of the world into free health care. 0.41% of Americans as of now state that they are bound to help general human services in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, and arrangements appear to push that way. 2. The U.S. has just swore to let individuals get tried for the coronavirus for nothing out of pocket, and a few government officials are pushing to make treatment free, too. On the off chance that treatment isn't made free before the pandemic's finished, we're certain to see more individuals requesting it. A few people have been returning home with bills as high as $35,000 for treatment, and it is extremely unlikely that those individuals won't wind up requesting changes. 1. A new political uprising. COVID-19 is hitting our well-being hard, yet it's hitting our economy considerably harder. As indicated by experts at J.P. Morgan Chase, there is never again question. We currently imagine that the COVID-19 stun will create a worldwide recession. A part of individuals will lose their positions. That examiner predicts that 400,000 Americans will get jobless in the following not many weeks alone. What's more, before this is finished, it could be far more atrocious. Another expert accepts that before this over, 7.4 million individuals in the relaxation and neighborliness industry will be jobless. The poor will be hit hardest of all. While office laborers will be ready to work remotely from home, it'll generally be servers and distribution center specialists that endure this present pandemic. That will be excruciating. Yet as Scheidel stated, fairness was just at any point delivered in sorrow. We will gain so much from this experience, and once we comprehend what the genuine exercise of COVID-19 is, individuals will be requesting change. Specialists are as of now anticipating an upheaval, one that examiner Kathy O'Neill has depicted as Possess Wall Street 2.0. COVID-19 is going to scrutinize us, however when that test is finished, we will have a superior comprehension of the breaks in our social orders. Also, in case we're fortunate, our reality could possibly end up a superior spot.